That's right. All right. Joining us now is the former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. Speaker Gingrich, thanks for joining us.
How are you?
We're very well. Listen, thank you for joining us here. Look, you're gonna be speaking here at CPAC and over the course of this convention. What are you going to tell the folks here?
Well, I'm going to tell the folks that we need a profoundly new approach to both conservatism and to the Republican Party. I'm going to praise Reince Priebus's efforts as National Committee Chairman to create the Growth and Opportunity Program, which I think is a first step in the right direction. But I'm also going to cite Gavin Newsom's new book, Citizenville, and point out that when a former mayor of San Francisco and Democratic Lieutenant Governor of California writes the most useful book on how to move away from the bureaucratic state back towards Tocqueville's vision of a citizen-based America, it tells you something about both the Republican Party and the conservative movement. I mean,
well, we've got that fight going on right now on Capitol Hill. This was most recently demonstrated by Rand Paul's attempt to filibuster. He did not win ultimately his point, but a lot of people, even within the Republican Party, sort of threw up criticism of that effort. John McCain comes to mind. So where do you come down on that?
Okay, first of all, I think Rand Paul did two things that were really important. First, he showed that one senator who has courage could begin an argument and rapidly attract other senators to join him. And by the end of the evening, he had a number of people. In fact, even Mitch McConnell, his leader, came to the floor to praise him for his courage. We need more of that. That's in the tradition of Jesse Helms and others who have stood up and made a difference personally. So that part of it is important, just to signal to Republicans, younger, newer Republicans, go do something. Don't sit around and complain about the leadership. Provide leadership. Lead. Second, the question he raised, I think, is an important question. As a conservative, I distrust government. I remember that the Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution precisely for the purpose of making sure that we limited government. The Constitution is not designed to limit the American people. It's designed to limit the government. And Rand Paul was raising a very important question, particularly in response to a letter he had gotten from the Attorney General.
And yet he got slammed for that, did he not? By John McCain and others?
I think that's fine. People slammed Ronald Reagan every day until he became an icon. People in the Republican Party opposed Ronald Reagan. His vice president campaigned against him, describing his economic policy as voodoo economics. His tax cuts were described by the Republican Senate leader as a riverboat gamble. People just need to understand that Reagan was attacked from the right when he met with Gorbachev and attacked from the left when he didn't meet with Brezhnev and Andropov and Chernenko. So I think leadership is about accepting the fact that if you do something that's real, you're going to occasionally get attacked. So what? That's the price of being a leader.
Speaker Gingrich, your film 9 Jays That Changed the World about the political power of the papacy, specifically John Paul II, was a fantastic film. We have a new pope. When we return, we're just going to do traffic and weather real fast. When we return, I really want to ask you about your impression on day one of the papacy.
Newt Gingrich is on the line right now. He's nice enough to join us. He's going to be speaking here at CPAC. He's going to talk about the future of the Republican Party, how we need to look at things a little differently. But you have a question about the news of the day yesterday.
Yeah, we have a pope, Mr. Gingrich, and it's pretty exciting, I think, for Catholics and everyone around the world, really, when you look at what the power of the papacy can do. As I mentioned, John Paul II was such an influential figure, and your film 9 Days That Changed the World reflects that beautifully. I wonder if you have early impressions on Francis.
Well, I think, first of all, the very fact that he chose Francis as his name as Pope is very significant. If you look at how he was dressed, he is the most modestly dressed person in the balcony in the famous picture yesterday. He, as you know, gave up his car and rode the bus in Buenos Aires. He gave up the palace that belongs to the bishop and lived in an apartment. He cooked his own dinners. How much of that he carries into the papacy, we don't know yet. But this is a man who I think is sending a signal. And I think he's going to be challenging to everybody. He'll be challenging to liberals because he's going to remain a solid Catholic on issues like right to life and marriage. He's going to be a challenge to conservatives because I think he's going to genuinely, aggressively care about social policy and the poor. And so I think this is going to be a very significant period for the church. And the fact that he is the first Latin American, the first non-European in modern times, is extraordinarily significant. And I think 39% of all the Catholics in the world live in Latin America.
Yes.
I think will be a source of enormous pride to them.
But Speaker Gingrich, you mentioned the life issue, and we've spoken a little bit this morning about the fact that Joe Biden is going to be participating in leading the American delegation to the Vatican as part of his ceremonial duties. He is a pro-choice Catholic, if there is such a thing, or at least a pro-choice politician who is Catholic. Does this represent an awkward moment for our government to send somebody who is already going to be at odds with the Pope's beliefs on what a politician should be if he is Catholic?
Well, look, if you're the Obama administration, what are your choices? I mean, who are they going to find who is a pro-life?
Why not reach across the aisle and say, you know what, this is not a partisan thing. We'd like former Speaker Newt Gingrich to represent America.
Well, look, I think it would be very smart of Biden and the president to take some Republicans. I mean, they could certainly take the one to be genuinely above politics. They could take Paul Ryan, who's a lifelong Catholic, with them, and it would be good to have the delegation be bipartisan. But you can't stand in judgment. Joe Biden has been a Catholic his entire life. He disagrees on some of the church's teachings. The church has a pretty high level of forgiveness. That doesn't mean the church is going to change its policy to suit Joe Biden, but they're also, I think, not likely to excommunicate him. So for the moment, he is a Catholic in good standing, even if some of his policies are dubious. And I think that it's the right thing for the president to send a very senior delegation. I do think that your point on forgetting Newt Gingrich, your point's right, that having a bipartisan delegation would be very smart, both politically, but also the right spirit of a papal investiture.
All right, well, listen, former Speaker of the House, former presidential candidate, all-round good guy to be on with us this morning. Newt Gingrich, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
It's 8:21.